Hey guys, I'm back working on the bowl a little bit, doing some sanding, and wanted to give you a peek at it. I'm not going to videotape the sanding. The only thing I know of that's more boring than sanding is having to watch somebody sand. But wanted to show you what it looks like. As you can see, all of that sanding sealer is now sanded off of it. It's got sanding dust all over it. But all that sanding sealer is sanded back off of it. The only reason I use the sanding sealer is, as I mentioned in the second part of the video, is to help me identify places that need to be worked on, or so that I can see where I need to do more sanding. But it's sanded up to about 220 grit. Right now it's looking pretty good. But when I get the all the sanding done, I'll start putting the finish on it, and I'll come back for that part of the video. I guess it would help showing what it looks like if I actually had the camera pointed in the right position. But anyway, as I was saying, there it is, sanded up to about 220 grit. Typically I go up to about 400, either 400 or 600. Okay guys, I've got the bowl sanded up to 400 grit now, and I'm not sure whether that light is washing the color out. It's better with it or without it. Can't tell. Maybe that's not too bad. But got the bowl sanded up to 400 grit now, and about to put some finish on it. And this is what I'll be using. Basically, this will be another sanding sealer. I'm going to use wipe-on poly on it for the first coat because it's really thin, and this spalted wood will, because it's thin, it will absorb it well and soak into the grain really well. And then the top coat or finish coat will be a regular poly. Once again, I'll be using a small Scotch-Brite pad to put it on with, and shake this up good. And we'll put a little poly on here and let you see what it's going to look like. And again, this coat will basically be another sanding sealer coat. After this is dried, it'll be sanded again before the finish coats, top coats, are put on. These little Scotch-Brite pads, this is the real fine grit. Well, actually, I think this one is about, the gray is about 600, I believe they say. And it doesn't leave lint behind like a paper towel or a cloth does. So that's why I like using that. I usually do start putting my finish on with the the lathe spinning just to get everything coated. Usually I'll stop after I get a light coat on there, and then see if there's any dry areas that need a little more put on them. But usually I do start putting it on with the piece turning on the lathe. And again, this being real thin, it soaks in. Doesn't really build much finish, and that gives me another opportunity to, if I've missed anything in the sanding, that gives me the opportunity to come back without having to sand a surface finish to work on any areas that may need some more sanding. Of course, the end grain always soaks up more finish than the side grain does. So, like I say, I usually stop the lathe after I've got the initial spread on there, and then I'll come back and see where the finish is soaked in, where it's dry, and come back and put some more on those areas that have soaked all the finish up. I'm probably setting that right in the way of the camera. But as you can see, the lip-on poly is very thin, so it will, especially with this being spalted wood, it will really soak it up. And not that this wood is overly soft, but spalted wood is softer than wood that's not spalted, so this soaking it up real good will help stiffen those fibers up, make it easier to finish getting it sanded out. Looks like we're getting fairly close. End grain is still soaking it up a little bit. I think I'll stop there though and let this coat dry, and then come back and see if those the end grains, two end grain sides, need another coat put on them. Okay, there's what she looks like with the first coat of finish put on it, guys. Okay guys, I was working on the second coat, and thought I'd come back and let you see what it looks like after the second coat of this. I just realized I haven't showed the outside of the bowl, so I'll try to get the camera off of its little stand there here in just a second, and see if I can move you around where you can see the back side as well. But basically this is, like I said, another seal coat. So pretty much I want all of this to soak in. I don't want anything left on the surface. Let me slip these gloves off or I won't get finish on my camera. And there again is what the inside looks like after the second coat, and looks really shiny right now, but it won't when it gets dry. My arms aren't hardly long enough to get the camera far enough away to be able to turn it by hand. But I'll come back and show you what that looks like once it's dry. Okay guys, one last look while we're at this stage. This is with the wipe on poly. Pretty much dry, but that's what it looks like right now. As I say, it's going to be a beautiful bow. And when it's finished, excuse me, there won't be any finish left on the surface. I just don't like a surface finish on any of my projects. As I mentioned before, I like my stuff to have that rustic look, and to me, any finish on the surface just makes the piece harder to keep looking good, gets scratched easier, and in my opinion, they're just easier to take care of if you don't leave a surface finish on it. So it'll all be sanded back down to anything on the surface will be sanded back off. And I don't think I've mentioned this before, but this isn't really a how-to video or anything like that. This is just for the person I'm making the bow for mainly, so that he can see it being made. I like to, as much as I can, give the person the experience, kind of like if they were in the shop actually seeing the piece be made. Alright, let me take this off the choke real quick. I'll see if I can get you a view of the back side of it. And possibly, like I said, I don't know whether that light's helping, or that bright LED light. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but and here's the back side. Of course, the base of it hasn't been done yet. That's the last thing I do because of it having it mounted on the chuck. Okay guys, this will dry for a day or two, and then it'll be sanded again, and then I'll start putting the top coats on.